Hello everyone, this is Ms. Kim and welcome to another mini lesson tutorial about Excel Online at the Web Savvy Cafe. Today's lesson will be about number formatting using Excel Online. So let's get right into it. So one thing that a lot of people are not aware of is that you don't have to make arduous changes to your numbers every time you find out that, oh, that's not the way I wanted it, or there's a mistake, or quite possibly you want to just make it easier for yourself and just put numbers in and type in with as few keystrokes as possible. So what I'm going to show you today is how you can actually format your numbers. Let's start with this column M. And there's an area on the home ribbon that says number at the bottom. This is where you can format all of your numbers. Right now it's just typed in as number 1, and if you can see here, you can just click on the first number that you want to change the format of, and then just hold the left mouse button while this one is selected and just drag down, and you can select the whole column that way without actually selecting all of the cells in that column. And I'll show you where that comes into play a little bit later. So as you can see, with the number 1 selected by itself, in the formula bar you see number 1 as well. And the same with number 2, and so on and so forth. Just wanted to bring that to your attention so that you can see the differences as we move along. So I want to change these numbers, and I want these numbers to represent currency, United States currency. And right now this 1 could represent $1 and so forth and so on. So I'm going to go up here to this part of the ribbon where it says number, and I'm going to click on the drop down box, and I'm going to click on currency. As you can see, there's been a change here in the formatting of these numbers, and right now what was added was a $ to the left, and also a decimal point and 2 places after the decimal point with 0 zeros in place of those places. So that is what it would look like if you formatted it as currency. Let's move over to November, and we're going to do something similar here, but in this case we're going to go back to the drop down box, and we're going to choose accounting. Now I want you to take a look at the difference here. For currency, the $ is right next to the number. There's no spacing at all. For accounting, the $ is at its leftmost corner. And you can see that even more if I actually open up this column. And you can see the $ stays over to the left. That's very common when you're using accounting practices. Okay? So now I'm just going to undo this just to bring it back and make everything uniform. And that's how you would change that. Now, let's take a look at, we're going to go to column O right now. And I'm going to type in a date, and I'm going to type it in a specific way. I'm going to use 05/01/19. So to most people, that means, or in the United States, it means May 1st and the year 2019, or it could be 1919, but we're going to stay current. And I'm going to press enter. And of course, you know, when you press enter, it moves down to the cell right beneath it. And then, you can see how it took the 0 off. So it's already have a default of taking the leading 0 off of the date, which is the month. Now I'm going to type in the next consecutive date and press enter as well. And now this time you can see I put 02 and it changed that as well. Now I'm suggesting to Excel that I'd like the dates to be consecutive. So from one of the other videos that you can find if you end up at this video, before you look at the one that talks about actually filling in data, you can click on the first cell, hold the shift key, click on the second one without letting the shift key go, and then make sure you get the plus sign and you come all the way down as far as you need it to go and let go. And as you can see, what happens, it understands and it makes a suggestion that, oh, she wants to go in the dates in a sequential order. Now, do you see these hashtag signs right here? Don't get alarmed. The only thing that is telling you is that there's not enough space to show the data properly. So there's two things that you can do to make a change there. You can either go here to the end of that particular column and you'll see the two arrows point on opposite sides of each other. You can left click it, and once you do that, it tells you what the width is, and you can move over, drag it over and release, and then as you can see, the numbers show up at that point. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to undo, and I'm going to show you another way. You can go there and then you can have Excel automatically do this for you by making sure you have the double arrow and then double click. And once you double click, it opens it up to the space that is necessary in order to show that data properly. So that's more than one way that you can do that. So let's continue with the dates. Now let's say that was the easiest way for me to put the dates in. But what I'd like to have is it to be a little bit more formal. Well, what can I do about that? I can actually go in and I can type May 5th, 2019. I can put the day of the week that May 5th fell on. I can do all of that, but it's going to take me a lot of time. Well, I would like for Excel to help me with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first cell, and I'm going to hold my shift key down and click on the last cell that I want to format this date for, and then I'm going to go and as you can see, it has already pre-populated date here. Well, there are certain features in Excel Online that are not available. And right now it just says short date and long date, and I can actually show you what the long date looks like. So I will click on long date, and once I do that, as you can see, it actually pulls up from the calendar what day of the week May 1st was on, and so forth and so on. So that's a nice feature. I can go back and I can try short date. Short date just takes it back to what we originally had. As you can see here, it does not reformat the actual column to the size that it needs to be. But if I double click on the right hand side of it, watch what happens. Now it closes it up automatically. So that's a pretty nice feature as well. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to click long date. And there it is. Now, I'd like to show you something. And I'm going to click here and show you if I was to put in 05/15/19, you might be wondering what's going to happen. So I'll press enter and show you. Nothing happened. I wonder why. Well, I can tell you why. It's because, and people get fooled by this a lot, when I originally formatted the cells with the data in it, remember I clicked here and then I chose the ones I wanted by doing that. Now, if I had clicked the entire column, then that would be the entire cell, all of the cells in that column, and then come back to the drop down and say long date. You see, now everything is formatted. And by the way, anytime you select a cell and it's formatted one way, but you change the format, it's going to override whatever format is on a cell that has been selected. Now, the next date I will put in is 05/16/19. Now, what do you think will happen? I'll show you. Now, it changes this time because this time I formatted the entire column, and it understands that each cell in that column will now follow that particular format. And that's the way Excel works. It's very, very nice in that fashion. Another thing I want to bring to your attention is if I click on any one of these cells in this column, you can see here in this cell it says Wednesday, May 1st, 2019. Now if you look in the formula bar, it says 5/1/2019. Now, that's because Excel will show what the original default way that the data looked like in the formula bar. But in the actual formatted cells or column in this particular case, it will show it the way you formatted it to look. So you might want to pay attention to that and not let that fool you. It's really no big deal. It's the same thing if I clicked on this particular cell, M2. You can see it says $1 here and the number 1 here. So that helps you to keep things straight with Excel. If I was to click on this particular cell, cell 02, and if I came to the formula bar, and this is another way that Excel is pretty helpful, and I don't want to change the information here because this information is already formatted and I might get it confused. So I'm going to go to the formula bar and I'm going to change, instead of saying 5/1/2019, maybe this time I'll say let's say 04/29/19. Now you can see I've changed it here and I've changed it here. Now let's see what's going to happen once I press enter. Now when I press enter, voila, it changed it to Monday, April 29th, 2019. And it did not change what had previously been done as far as creating these dates in a consecutive ascending order. And that's what we want. We don't want things to change on the fly just because we make one change. Now, having said that, with Excel, if you have formulas in cells beneath the cell that you change or in any association with the cell that you change, that is when you do want it to take account of what has changed and then do the calculation over so that you can have the proper information at that point. So that's a little bit beyond the scope of this particular lesson, and we can look at that at another time. But this is how Excel Online works. It's very helpful, and I'm sure that with this information you now are armed with knowing how to format numbers in your spreadsheet, in your worksheet, and you can change it to whatever you would like for it to show up as, whether it's United States currency, whether it's a British pound, whether it's an accounting method, or whether it's a date, either a short or a long date. And I think you've got it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below this video. Please, if any of this information was helpful to you, Please don't forget to subscribe.